Here we go. Yep. And now it's time for race number 10 of 29 here in the 1989 throwbacks. As we can see the point standings right here. The top three drivers are only separated by 39 points heading into the third of the four Winston Million races, the Coca-Cola 600. If Geoffrey Bodine or Mark Martin enter this race and win, they will receive a $100,000 bonus and have a shot to win $1 million at the Southern 500 later this year. What should be a fantastic race here at Charlotte. It always is. Always turns out to be a fantastic competitive environment. And Phil Parsons, who had a really good run in practice, ends up with 6th. Terry Labonte will end up with the pole here for the Coca-Cola 600. And Geoff Bodine, we told you that Winston Million contender, he is in 2nd. So we'll go here and we'll take you through the top 10 really quick. Terry Labonte is your leader. You got Geoff Bodine in 2nd, Bill Elliott in 3rd, Ken Schrader 4th, Rusty Wallace 5th, Phil Parsons 6th, Ricky Rudd 7th, Harry Gant 8th, Tim Richmond 9th, and Mark Martin rounding out the top 10. So here's how the Winston Million works. If you win 3 out of the 4 big events in the NASCAR season, and that would be the Daytona 500, the Talladega Winston 500, the Coca-Cola 600, and the Southern 500, you win $1 million if you win 3 out of those 4 events in the same year. That has actually never happened in NASCAR history. Here's the command really quick. Several drivers would have won a $100,000 bonus winning 2 out of the 4 in the same year, but no driver has ever won the $1 million prize that was started in 1984. Dale Earnhardt is probably the closest to getting it. He ended up winning the Daytona 500 and winning the Coca-Cola 600 last year. He went to the Southern 500 and actually did really, really well, but in the end, he ended up coming up empty. Anyways, the cars are coming off of turn 4 through the dog leg, and the green flag is out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the longest event of the year, a quarter of the 600-mile event, 100 laps. You can see Terry Labonte and Bill Elliott, the 2 Ford Thunderbirds, they're really getting a good run. And something that the new Ford Thunderbirds have shown, at least so far in the first third of the season, is that they have had excellent short run speed. And Terry Labonte and Bill Elliott are definitely showcasing it right now. Lap number 1 going to Terry Labonte. In 2nd place, we have Bill Elliott. In 3rd, Rusty Wallace, who, remember, earlier on in this season was involved in a horrifying-looking crash at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in just 2nd event of the year. He has, I'd say, rebounded from that crash very well. He's gotten himself back up into the top 20 in points and is hoping for more, to say the least. He's currently running 3rd. Ricky Rudd, he's got 2 wins on the year now. He's in 4th. And Mark Martin, who last week picked up his first career victory at Talladega and is the other driver that is in contention for that Winston Million prize. You can see Phil Parsons here. He is in the 7th position. And I gotta tell you what, both the 33 and the 55 of the Jackson brothers, both of them in Oldsmobiles, they just unloaded off the trailer and they were wicked fast. So look for both the 55 and the 33 to eventually come up through the field. Here you can see Geoffrey Bodine, we've already talked about him. And here's his younger brother, Brett Bodine, the person who nearly won the Daytona 500 and also had a very, very strong run at Talladega last week. So there's definitely a very good super speedway racer here in the form of Brett Bodine. Who would have known that? And then here you've got two cars that are just fast every single week. Ken Schrader and Tim Richmond. And these guys are just really hard to beat. Now, something that's actually really surprising is that Dale Earnhardt is really far through the field right now. Dale Earnhardt is currently located in the 16th position, and considering that he's third in points, you know he's going to want to better that by a significant amount by the end of this race. This team is extremely crafty. They know how to win races. They know how to win championships. They've won 2 out of the last 3 championships. So don't put it past this team here, Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt, as they will be going after the race win today. No doubt about it, no matter how fast their car is. Meanwhile, here is the battle for the 6th position here between Mark Martin and Geoffrey Bodine. And it looks like Bodine's going to be able to get around Martin with ease, and Geoff Bodine's going to move into the 6th position. And now you can see here a battle for 2nd between Bill Elliott in the 9 and Rusty Wallace in the 27. Rusty Wallace just trying to find any way around the 1984 Throwbacks champion, who had an 8-win season back in 1984, going on one of the most dominating stretches in NASCAR history, winning 5 out of 6 races at one point, including 4 in a row at 4 completely different racetracks. And considering the 5th track was Daytona, a lot of people thought that Bill Elliott was going to break the modern era record for most wins in a row. He only was able to tie that mark, however, as even though he really choked towards the end of the season, he cruised into an easy points victory, as he's one of the best at the summer super speedways, no doubt about that. You've got Pocono, you've got Michigan, Daytona and Talladega are going to be in there. You've got Watkins Glen in there. You've got the brand new, well, at least not brand new, but at least the new track to NASCAR schedule this year. You've got the Sears Point International Raceway that we've got thrown in here to replace the Spring Riverside race. So that is going to be a very enjoyable thing, no doubt about that. And now we've got a battle for the 2nd position here, as Ricky Rudd, he's been flying around this racetrack. And you can see him, he's going to get around Bill Elliott, and it looks like Rusty Wallace is also going to be able to get around Elliott here. We'll see if he follows suit. And almost certainly he will. Elliott is going to fall back into the 4th position, so give 2nd to Rudd and 3rd to Wallace. Oh boy, but Wallace did not get a good run off of turn 3, and that's actually going to shove Elliott up the track. And now here comes Phil Parsons to the bottom, as he's going to take the 4th position away from Elliott. And as we said, the short run speed of these 4 Thunderbirds is extremely fast, but later on in the runs, they always seem to fall through the field a bit. Of course, Elliott and his team is extremely crafty, and that's why they're currently leading the points. But you have Terry Labonte up at the front here, they have not been as lucky, even though Junior Johnson absolutely knows how to win a championship. He's won 6 of them as an owner. No doubt about it, does he know how to win a championship and prepare a championship-winning car, but they just haven't had luck fall their way this year in Terry Labonte, much like with Rusty Wallace, outside of the top 15 in points, and they just really need good runs. Meanwhile, somebody who maybe doesn't exactly need a good run, but certainly is having a good run today is Phil Parsons. Currently in the 4th position. Of course, he would love to hold that for the rest of the race. Oh, we're 15 laps into the Coca-Cola 600 here. Terry Labonte has led every lap to this point. He sat on the pole for today's race, and he has really taken off quickly here. And he maintains about a 5 or 6 car length lead over Ricky Rudd, who himself is about 5 or 6 car lengths ahead of Rusty Wallace, who is really fighting off a hard-charging Phil Parsons right now from behind. If we take a look at the fastest lap charts, really no surprises here. Geoff Bodine has the fastest car with an average speed of 176.482 miles an hour. That's not the maximum speed these cars are hitting. That's the average speed around the racetrack, 176.482 miles an hour for Geoff Bodine, 176.131 for Phil Parsons, and a still impressive 175.573 out of Terry Labonte. And so we've got speeds of over 175 miles an hour on average around this 1.5 mile track. It is certainly a super speedway with especially regard to the short tracks. Some of those tracks, you know, you see average speeds of 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour. Bristol, you'll see average speeds of around 115, 120 miles an hour. But you look at North Wilkesboro, that's about 100 miles an hour. Richmond's about 100 miles an hour. Martinsville's less than 100 miles an hour. And, you know, Darlington isn't really that fast either. But you take a look at those tracks and, yeah. 175 miles an hour is an extremely fast speed, no doubt about it. Right now, it does look like Ricky Rudd is closing in on Terry Labonte in the 11 car. Now, Labonte really needs to get the pace going here. He really needs to quicken the pace. It does look like that Ricky Rudd is going to catch and pass him pretty soon. Meanwhile, speaking of passing, we've got a battle for 3rd. Here comes Phil Parsons to the bottom. And even though Parsons was a little disappointed with his run in qualifying, man, he's got to be very happy with how fast this car is during the race. Clearly, he didn't run the qualifying package that he wanted to, but he's got the race package today. He's got the car. He's got one of the cars to beat, if not the car to beat today, as Phil Parsons will roll into the 3rd position now. And we were saying that Ricky Rudd's reeling in Terry Labonte. Looks like Terry Labonte's pulling back to that 5 or 6 car length lead that he had not too long ago. And now it looks like that they're going to be catching some lap traffic here for the first time today. The car that you're seeing right now, the red, white, and blue car, is the number 89 of Rodney Coombs. You can see the self-sponsored car there. As Terry Labonte and Ricky Rudd, you'll see them fly right by the 89. Of course, that team does not exactly have the greatest equipment in the world, so they're definitely not going to be going as fast as the leaders are. Meanwhile, Phil Parsons trying to keep it pinned to the bottom here. He's facing definite resistance for that 3rd position from Rusty Wallace. Wallace looks like he's going to try to take that position back going into one using the lap car as a pick. And it was a great move. And you can see Rusty Wallace really showing some veteran aspects to him right there. He did a fantastic job using the lap car as a pick to get around the faster car of Phil Parsons. And he really acted like a championship winner last season, winning 7 races. And unfortunately choking at the end and unable to contend for the championship. But man, he did an amazing job putting forth a great battle against 3 drivers who were former champions of this series. Now you can see them going around. Jim Sauter there in the 44 car. But anyways, Rusty Wallace, before 1988 rolled around, he had no wins in his career. No wins, 7 runner-up finishes. And then he comes to Rockingham. He picks up his first career win. Just in the second race in 1988, he just picks up his first career win. And he really didn't look back. He had an astounding season. Not quite Dale Earnhardt or Tim Richmond level of astounding, because they had just record-setting amounts of top 5s and top 10s. But man, that was just great. Phil Parsons worked his way back around Rusty Wallace, and now it looks like the lap traffic is starting to get a little bit thicker. AJ Foyt and Butch Miller were just passed now. And it looks like Terry Labonte and Ricky Rudd, they're both pretty much getting through this lap traffic the same. And the lap traffic isn't really bothering them. What I want to see is this run between 3rd through 6th right now, because these 4 cars are pretty much right on top of each other. One mistake by any 4 of these drivers can cost them 2 or 3 positions right now. So just watch and let's see what happens here, especially with them catching AJ Foyt here. That's going to slow down the 55 car. We'll see by how much. It's like everyone's going to get around the 14 of Foyt fine. At least Parsons and Wallace are. Geoff Bodine, despite having a really fast short run car, does not appear that he has the long run speed, because right now Elliott's really outdoing him. And just really outlasting him right now. He can't find a way around Bill Elliott. Meanwhile, Labonte's found himself in a gaggle of lapped cars. You can see him behind the 52 of Jimmy Means and the 70 of JD McDuffie. We'll finally get around McDuffie there, but being stuck behind Jimmy Means, that's going to cost him precious time, and Ricky Rudd's right on his bumper now, and that's going to change the entire complexity of this race. Dave Marcus is almost certainly going to get in the way as well. So now this is really the first opportunity that Ricky Rudd is going to have this race to overtake Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte has led every single lap to this point here in the Coke 600. And he's really put on a dominating effort, to say the least. He's done a fantastic job. And Labonte trying to break a winless streak going back to 1987 when he first joined Junior Johnson. 88 he went winless, but then again a lot of drivers went winless last year, and it looks like we're going to have cars coming down pit road here on lap number 30. We'll see who is staying out on the track and who is not. It looks like Brett Bodine's going to opt to stay out on the track, so Terry Labonte will not be leading every lap of this race. Brett Bodine staying out, that's actually worth 5 bonus points right there for leading the lap. So that was a very good strategic move there by Bud Moore, a classic championship decision. Which Brett Bodine, the way that he's running, he could be running for his first ever top 10 points finish this season. He's done an incredible job in that 15 car thus far. Meanwhile, we can see Ken Schrader getting back onto the track. He was one of the first cars to hit pit road. We'll wait to see how this field cycles through. You can see a lot of people down on the apron. You can see the 6, the 5, the 27. They're all there. And it looks like it's going to be a big pickup of positions for Ken Schrader. So that was an excellent pit stop for him. Meanwhile, it looks like up front it's still going to be the 11 of Terry Labonte. We'll see if that's the case. No, it is not. Ricky Rudd is way out ahead of Terry Labonte. So Ricky Rudd had the best pit stop. He got out in front of Labonte, and look at this. He's out in front by 2.5 seconds. So a great job by Rudd and his crew. And looks like they're going to try to go for their 3rd win this season. So go Rudd all the way right now. Doing a fantastic job. And now the championship complexion completely changes because now Tim Richmond is way out in front of Bill Elliott. But they're only separated by 2 positions, so I don't think that's going to be enough. Neither driver's led a lap, so that's worth 10 points. With how close this points is, you know, every single point matters, and this points race is extremely, extremely tight. And we'll see if it continues to be tight throughout the season. It's going to be just a really good dogfight going down into these summer months here. Battling out between Bill Elliott, Tim Richmond, and, well, Dale Earnhardt, who is still having not a very Dale Earnhardt-esque race. Let's just say that. He's currently in 12th, not doing well, to say the least. He just turned his fastest lap of the race, and that's good for 16th fastest, which is just very, very uncharacteristic for Dale Earnhardt. Now there, he just turned the 5th fastest lap of the race, so maybe I'm just jinxing myself. I don't know. Maybe Earnhardt will come back on the prowl here after that set of pit stops. Maybe he just missed the race setup or something, but look for Earnhardt to start moving up through the field. Meanwhile, you saw Derek Cope stuck on pit road there. And Ken Schrader and Tim Richmond both found their way around Phil Parsons. So the Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolets are on the move. We'll take a look at the lap times here. Ricky Rudd's last lap, 173.5. Terry Labonte, 173.3. Tim Richmond, 174.3. And Ken Schrader, 173.8. And Phil Parsons also 173.8. So Tim Richmond, Phil Parsons, and Ken Schrader they're all running faster than the 2 leaders. So these guys are going to start running down Ricky Rudd and Terry Labonte in a rather quick fashion. You can see Ricky Rudd trying to get around Chad Little and Mickey Gibbs there. Here you can see the 11 car, Terry Labonte, running in 2nd place. Up until that last set of pit stops, it looked like he really had a strong campaign going. Looked like he was maybe even going to win this event, lead the most laps. Right now, that's not happening. Right now, Ricky Rudd is the car in the lead, but I wouldn't say he's the dominant car because here comes Richmond and here comes Schrader. These 2 cars are looking very, very strong. No doubt about it. You can see Richmond, he's going to get underneath Mickey Gibbs here. There he goes. So Richmond's around Gibbs. Looks like Schrader's going to follow suit. How about Ken Schrader? He's really had a breakout season this year. doing a fantastic job for Hendrick Motorsports and this 35 crew. You know, Schrader's contract is up at the end of the year, but if he keeps on performing like this, I don't think there's any way he's leaving this team. Schrader is just putting on an incredible job right now. Flirting with pole positions and flirting up with the top 5 and top 10. I think he's going to be a very strong contender for another driver that might get his first career win this season. It's surprising to say that Ken Schrader is so far without a win. But yeah, no wins to his career yet. And there you can see Ricky Rudd. He's going to put Richard Petty a lap down. Right here you see Bill Elliott, and Elliott is a lot slower than any of these leaders. So Elliott's really not going to catch him. He's pretty much on his own in 6th. In 7th, we have the 33 of Harry Gant. We told you that both the 33 and the 55 were fast. Well, they're both in the top 10. So Harry Gant having a great day in 7th. Kyle Petty for the new team, Felix Sabates, 42 car. Man, he's having a good season thus far. He is in 8th. No top 5s, but he's still 10th in points. Geoff Bodine, you can see him battling with Dale Earnhardt here down the back straightaway. These guys are 9th and 10th respectively. So, yeah, even though Earnhardt and Bodine would love to be up near the front, you can't say that they're having terrible days, but definitely not days that they wanted to have. And here is 11th, 12th, and 13th as well, as we have Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, and Brett Bodine. Of course, Mark Martin would also love to get up to the front as quickly as he could. Him and Geoff Bodine are both competing for a $100,000 bonus if they were to win this race today, although it's looking increasingly unlikely. Meanwhile, we're going to go to the lead because Ricky Rudd really got slowed up there, and now all of a sudden everybody is breathing down his neck. Well, at least Terry Labonte is. Yeah, I think Rick Mast in the 66, he got really, really slow, and he got in front of the 26, and that really slowed him up. So Rick Mast and Lake Speed, they were going side by side in front of the 26, and that really, really slowed the 26 up, and now here comes Terry Labonte, and now we've got Jimmy Spencer and Ben Hess going slow in front of Ricky Rudd as well. You can see Rudd getting around Spencer just fine. And now we're going to see if Terry Labonte can get around Ricky Rudd. We saw these roles reverse not 20 laps ago, before those pit stops. And one of the things about the Coca-Cola 600 that is always intriguing is that there's that last pit stop with 10 laps to go. And always something gets shooken up with that last cycle pit stops. And here we go. Terry Labonte's going to go down low. Ben Hess is going to pull right down on the 11. Is that going to affect the aero any? It doesn't look like it. Coming to the line. Oh, wow. I couldn't even tell you who led that lap. NASCAR says they're giving the lap to the 26. Meanwhile, Terry Labonte will take sole possession of the lead going down the back straightaway. But now does he get to keep it as Rudd's looking for a crossover move? Labonte doesn't give him any room. Your new leader, Terry Labonte, here on lap number 48. But how long is that going to last? Because Tim Richmond is coming, Ken Schrader is coming. How long until those guys get through? We'll actually stay up here at the front. We want to take you through the field, but right now we've just got a way too intriguing battle for the lead right now. 4 cars are all within a second of each other. halfway through this race here at Charlotte. Oh, now Rodney Coombs is going to slow up the 11. Here comes Ricky Rudd. Is he going to try to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway? He can't. Richmond tries to dive to the bottom. He gets nothing. Rudd's trying to come along. Half of this race is officially in the books. 50 laps down, 50 laps to go. Boy, Richmond is really aggressively looking for any way around Ricky Rudd. And now you're about to see why Tim Richmond is a champion of NASCAR. The 1987 Throwbacks champion, Tim Richmond. He's just trying to work that 26 car, trying to get him out of the lead. We'll see if he can do it. It's going to be tough. There he goes. He's going to come down. Is Schrader going to follow? No, it looked like that Richmond actually lost momentum, and Schrader tried to go with the 26, and that didn't work either. Schrader's right behind. Richmond will try again. Will he use McDuffie at all? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Just look at this. Just a beautiful snake accordion pattern. It's almost like a dance. It's a coordinated dance between all these drivers right now. Boy, this battle for second is really heating up. Here comes Schrader to the bottom. Schrader has not been able to get around Richmond yet. If Schrader can get around Richmond, and it looks like he's going to be able to, there he goes. Schrader will move into the 3rd position. Can Schrader start to attack for this win? And that will be huge. We were talking about Ken Schrader. If there's any driver that would be very likely to get his first win, we were saying it was going to be him. We also said that last year when he ended up joining forces with Hendrick Motorsports. It just didn't pan out for him last year, though. It does appear like this year it just could be a special year for this 35 crew. Here comes Ken Schrader to the bottom of Ricky Rudd. Richmond trying to close the gap. He can't do it. Schrader is going to have the 2nd position. Meanwhile, Terry Labonte is enjoying a 1-second lead. So all that battling, and Terry Labonte's gotten out by a full second. And Ken Schrader is in 2nd place, looking for his first career NASCAR Throwbacks win. Anyways, I wanted to go through the field, and now I think I might have another shot to do it. So let's try it again. I believe we left off at Mark Martin somewhere around here. Kyle Petty's fallen back to 13th. Anyways, going for 14th, we have a battle here for 14th, and that's between Morgan Shepherd in the 75 and Davey Allison in the 28. So you can see how that's working out there. And then in 16th, we have the 94 of Sterling Marlin. Going back a little bit further, you can see the 17 of Darrell Waltrip. He is in the 17th position. How interesting. Then we have a battle for 18th position here between the 8 of Bobby Hillen and the 7 of Alan Kowicki. And then we got to go back a little bit more to find Ernie Irvin, currently in the top 20 for DK Ulrich. In 21st, we have the 21 of Neil Bonnet. And in 22nd, we have Dale Jarrett trying to work the back bumper of Bonnet. In 23rd, we have the 23. How about this? In 17th, we have the 17. In 21st, we have the 21. And in 23rd, we have the 23 of Eddie Bierschwell, sporting the new Peak sponsorship. And that team seems to be doing at least marginally better. And we have Davey Allison down pit road, and that should start the next round of pit stops here as we see the last two cars on the lead lap being rookie Dick Trickle and Larry Pearson. So we expect to see cars coming down pit road on this lap. Here we have 41 laps to go here in the Coca-Cola 600, and there we go. The 11 is going to go down. The 26 is going to stay out, so Rudd is going to try to get another lap towards leading the most laps. And that could be crucial, as he will definitely be in the championship points contention, especially if he's going to have potentially 3 wins on the season. This is where racing always gets interesting, is the pit strategies. Who plays what pitch strategy? Oh, Rudd stays out here. I wouldn't be surprising if the 33 stays out, or even if the 9 stays out. But it doesn't look like either of those is happening. They're all just coming down pit road now. Meanwhile, we can see Earnhardt coming back on pit road, coming back on the track. As I'm looking for... Here's Terry Labonte. He's forced down into the grass, and Tim Richmond just flew right by him. And Schrader is also slow. And Richmond just flew right around the outside of the 11. The 11 couldn't get grip. He didn't have room on the apron. And Tim Richmond is all of a sudden in a position to win this race. Just like that, one little mistake will cost you dearly. Now the question is, where's the 26? There's the 26. He's not coming onto the track anytime soon. Meanwhile, we've got a stopped car in the form of the 89. Is that going to cause a yellow flag? That'd be big if it happened. I don't think they're going to throw the yellow for that. No caution signals are on around the track. We're going to stay green. The car is off the racing surface, so nobody really has to worry about running into it. He's well off into the apron on the back straightaway. So there's really no worries about causing a safety concern. So anyways, now this has been a really good dogfight for positions here, as Tim Richmond has a 2-second advantage currently on Terry Labonte, who has led the most laps so far today. In third place, we could see Ken Schrader. He was up in the second earlier before the pit stops, but he came out in third. Phil Parsons will come back onto the track in fourth, and Ricky Rudd, for that extra lap, doesn't look like it paid off. He falls to fifth. Rusty Wallace picks up some positions. He'll be in sixth. Harry Gant will go into seventh. And we have Dale Earnhardt in eighth. You can see Alan Kowicki's falling a lap down. Geoff Bodine will go to ninth. And Kyle Petty will currently round out the top 10, which means Elliott is in 11th. And he really, really has some ground to make up. So there we go, showing it again that the Fords don't have the competing power on long runs that the Chevrolets do. And the Fords really start falling back. Now you can see the only Ford that is in the entire top 10 right now is Terry Labonte, and he's about to lose the second position to Ken Schrader, who's on the bottom of him. And there goes Schrader. He's gone. Schrader's got the position. Crazy. Schrader's got the position. Now what? Well, I'll say this right now. Ken Schrader's got 2.73 seconds to catch his teammate Tim Richmond right now. It's looking like it's going to be a 1-2 finish for Hendrick Motorsports, which shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. But if Ken Schrader wants his first career win, he's going to need to start reeling in that 25 and start doing so quickly. Well, lap time comparisons, that last lap, Tim Richmond 173.7. Ken Schrader 174.3. So Schrader is not messing around. He is definitely trying to reel in that 25 car already. Big news there. Wow, he is reeling in the 25 car very quickly. The 25 car around lap traffic, he's not. I mean, he's starting to approach it, but he was not really slowed down that lap. So it looks like Schrader's going to be coming, and he's going to be coming quick. Bill Elliott's able to move into the 10th position. No net gain or loss there for Schrader, still 2.4 seconds. Meanwhile, we've got a battle for 5th here, as Rusty Wallace is able to clear Ricky Rudd. So put Wallace into the top 5. Rudd will fall to 6th after a not-so-good pitch strategy. See Harry Gant trying to work on a fellow Oldsmobile. Larry Pearson. Gant's going to be able to get around. Think how good Gant is for being 49 years old. He's doing a great job in that 33 car. Ricky Rudd's trying to find a way around the 27. He wants that position back. See if he can get it. Just watching here. We still have 22 cars on the lead lap despite all the pit stops. And all of a sudden, the 55's really slowed up. So now Phil Parsons might be brought into this battle. Now something happened there with Phil Parsons. I'm not sure what. But now Parsons will be brought into this battle. Meanwhile, maybe Ken Schrader, he was pushing his car. Maybe he got through his tires too quick, because now Richmond's really starting to pull away. Richmond was a whole mile an hour faster that last lap. And this time, Schrader's a whole mile an hour faster. Oh man. .2 seconds currently separates the leader from Ken Schrader. Tim Richmond will almost certainly be the points leader at the end of this race if his lead holds. Of course, his lead's got to hold 26 more laps and one more pit stop. Don't forget about that. We've still got a wild card stop that's going to happen at around lap 90. And that's just going to be really interesting. You're going to see people take no tires. You're going to see people take 2 tires. You might see people even take all 4 tires. It's going to be a really dicey fuel strategy thing. Me, personally, 10 laps to go. I would bring it down on pit road, get my 3 seconds of worth of fuel into the car, and get her back onto the track. We'll see if they have the same idea or not. Meanwhile, the gap has closed down to 1.75 seconds. Schrader is really coming at the leader. Or at least he wants to be. Man, the lead just keeps on fluctuating big time, as it just seems like Schrader just can't hold a consistent pace to run down his teammate. This is still going to be a career best finish for Schrader if he's able to get second today. It's all going to come down to that last stop. That's what it's all going to come down to. It's going to come down to that last stop. Whoever has the advantage on that last stop. Whether if it's Schrader, whether if it's Richmond, whether if it's Labonte. I pick whoever pits first wins. I'm just going to say that right now. Whoever pits first between the 25, the 35, and the 11 wins. No doubt in my mind. Well, the lead's going back up to 2 seconds again. And now it's back down to 1.7. So this lead continues to fluctuate wildly between the two leaders as they bob and weave through lap traffic and try to figure out who exactly has the better car. Right now it's really a wild card. But if we really want to go back and take a look here, we've got this battle here for the 4th position between the 26, the 27, but also the 55 and the 33 and the 3 are all here. Dale Earnhardt could potentially have a really good day trying to make up for what has really been a awful day, to say the least, for Earnhardt's standards. 2 out of the last 3 years, he's been the champion. And in 1987, he was still the man to beat. Now, Richmond really grinded out that championship win against Earnhardt, no doubt about it. Richmond really earned that championship win in 87. Meanwhile, Earnhardt's looking for any way around Harry Gant here. This is just a really good battle. Now you can see potentially Geoff Bodine might want to get involved. He's right there. Elliott's way back. Just keep an eye on that lap ticker, folks. Once we get to lap 88, we're going to go back to the lead, or if there's a lead battle beforehand. The lead continues to fluctuate wildly. And I don't really see that changing anytime soon. Now the lead's underneath a second, but you'll see in like 2 laps that lead's going to go up to about a second and a half. As you can see, Phil Parsons really getting past here. There, Gant trying to get around the 55. No problems there. Earnhardt might also try to get around the 55. Not gonna happen. Or might will. Okay. He dives right to the bottom. There he goes. He's gonna get around Phil Parsons. So Parsons makes a mistake, and that's gonna cost him a lot of points right there. And that's 12 points right there he just dropped. More than that, 13 or 14 points, like 12, 14 points he just dropped right there. Meanwhile, Rudd's just trying to get away from that mess behind him. He's like, don't subject me to this. I've been in the lead of this race. I dominated a lot of, at least the first 2/3 of the second, I guess you could say, sector of this race after the first pit stop. Leading from lap 30 to around lap 45, he did really well. And Labonte got around him, and now the lead battle's getting interesting. Ken Schrader is closing in. He's got really good late run speed. I think that's what he's got over everyone else here, is that Schrader's got the late run speed. This is going to be really interesting, folks. You can see Chad Little and Butch Miller, the unsponsored cars, trying to get out of the way. They got out of the way of Richmond. They did not get out of the way of Schrader. And that's usually the opposite way of which it works. But then again, those cars are multiple laps down, so it doesn't really play in their favor to try to keep the leader behind them. The 90 just fell 2 laps down. The 51 just fell 3 laps down. The 66 is also about to fall 2 laps down, as we're really getting close to the final pit stop of this race. We are on lap 89. Only 12 laps are remaining. Everyone still needs to pit once. We'll see. Here's Davey Allison. He's down pit road, and he's been the first to pit all day long. So expect to see everyone down on pit road this lap. Wouldn't surprise me if somebody stayed out, whether it be Rusty Wallace or Harry Gant, Geoff Bodine, Bill Elliott, anybody that hasn't led a lap to this point. Here we go. Leaders coming on pit road. Both the 25 and the 35 are coming down. Here comes the 26. No, the 26 stays out along with the 33. So Ricky Rudd just blocked Harry Gant from picking up 5 bonus points by staying out. And Terry Labonte, if he pit the lap before, it does not look like he's going to have a good pit exit. Meanwhile, here's Dale Earnhardt. We'll show him for whatever reason. Okay, here's Richmond. He's coming out of pit road right now. Here's Schrader. Richmond's way ahead of Schrader. Way ahead of Schrader. And way ahead of everybody else, too. Yep, it looks like this is Richmond's race to lose now. That was a race-winning pit stop there by the 25. You'll see everybody else come up from pit road. There's the 26. And it's all up to the 25 now. He's got a huge lead over Ken Schrader. There's no way he's going to be able to reel that in with 7 laps left. That was huge. That was huge. That was championship. That was just a championship pit crew making a championship decision. And Tim Richmond's going to be able to get the job done by over 4 seconds today. That was just an incredible final pit stop by Tim Richmond's crew. And he's going to have to really give his crew a pat on the back. And Hendrick coming away with a 1-2 finish today, staying out ahead of Terry Labonte. Man, somebody's going to get a pay raise for the for the preparation by Hendrick Motorsports today. No doubt about that. And you've also got Geoff Bodine. He's going to finish in the top 10. He's in 9th. So Bodine's having an excellent day. Meanwhile, this battle's still not over. Here comes Dale Earnhardt to the bottom. He's going to get around Phil Parsons here. There he goes, right around Phil Parsons. Parsons just doesn't have the speed that he had. Meanwhile, Earnhardt's car has come to life here in these last few laps. He might try to salvage a top 5 out of this. Look at this. He's right on the back of Ricky Rudd. He's just not caring. He's looking for any way around Rudd that he can. Look at this. He's going to get right to the back of the 26. Trying to find any way around. And there he goes, maybe. Not quite. Not quite it yet. The 3's still trying to find some way around. And there he goes. He dips to the bottom. But he has no momentum. He dives it in deep into turn 3. And there you go. Earnhardt's going to the top 5. So there you go. That is another championship team. No doubt about it. They've had a 15th place car all day long. They've worked at it. They've grinded. And they've got this car into the top 5. Just another great job by RCR there. Meanwhile, Tim Richmond, he's just got 3 laps to hold on. NASCAR said if we have a caution at this point, the race is over. Race back to the line. Two laps to go. Tim Richmond's pretty much got this in the bag, folks. We're just watching him mail in these final 2 laps pretty much after just a great pit stop call. And Dale Earnhardt's actually moved his way into 4th now as that car is absolutely flying around this track. There you can see Tim Richmond barely squeezing by the 10 car. Now we come and take the white flag here from Charlotte. The white flag is out. They enter into turns 1 and 2. No problems for Tim Richmond. He's clear by 4.5 seconds over teammate Ken Schrader, who will be getting his career best finish of 2nd today. Entering into turn 3. And it looks like no problems for Richmond. He's going to come off of turn 4. And he is going to win the 1989 Coca-Cola 600. What a job by Richmond. You'll see everybody else cross the line. Ricky Rudd really falling through the field. And you can see the final results right there in your top left corner. We'll zoom out for you. Tim Richmond is the victor by 4.5 seconds. Ken Schrader 2nd. Terry Labonte 3rd. Dale Earnhardt 4th. And Rusty Wallace rounding out the top 5. And now let's take a look at those point standings. They're going to be completely different. Tim Richmond now leads by 54 points over Bill Elliott and 59 points over Dale Earnhardt. Everyone else is way out of it somehow. Both Geoff Bodine and Ricky Rudd just aren't putting up the kind of numbers that Richmond, Elliott, and Earnhardt have been able to do to this point in the season. Well, that pretty much wraps up our coverage of the Coca-Cola 600. We don't really have anything else to show you. Ken Schrader is the best driver without a win. Kyle Petty's still the best driver without a top 5. And Neil Bonnet's still the best driver without a top 10. And Davey Allison has still yet to lead a lap somehow this season. We'll see if he can get that turned around. They've really had a rough go of it this season. As far as the chase for the top 25, that tells you who's going to be guaranteed in and who is not guaranteed in for the 1990 season. And you can see here that here's the cutoff. Only 31 points separate Larry Pearson from Lake Speed, and it's all a very tight bundle of drivers here from Dick Trickle all the way down to Jimmy Spencer. The largest gap is just 66 points, so a very tight gap for the top 25. Anyways, that has been your race of the 1989 throwbacks, and we'll see you next time.